All right, it's 5:30. What we'll do is that we will wait for another 2 more minutes where the majority may come in, and eventually we will begin. All right, today's topic once again is how counseling skills can help our well-being by Leon. So feel free, yes, to add him on LinkedIn. Feel free to add myself as well on LinkedIn, and definitely we will possibly have a great time today. And yeah, later we'll have Q&A. So just hold back your questions while he is speaking, and eventually we will have about 20 minutes to address those questions after his 40-minute sharing. Yeah. So just give us another 2 more minutes and we'll begin. Yep, thanks Nick for the feedback. We are trying to resolve that.
Thanks, Nick. Can I check if this is better? Just now, maybe I wasn't holding the earpiece. Speaker portion out loud enough. Is it better now? Thanks, Nick. Yeah, okay. So before we start, I think this is actually the ideal to share. And pardon me if I'm a bit talking about extensively about myself, but I would hope to share for the context of an icebreaker as well. So feel free to even chat and share that you have the same experiences. Yeah, so actually I started from a fitness background, both working as a fitness instructor, but later on as well as like running my own company. So meaning I do corporate talks. But of course, before I'm counseling trained, I only do corporate talks purely for fitness purposes. Yeah. So later you all will see that immediately after this first slide, I really want to share both, I would say both the mental health and the physical fitness health industry professionals will agree that many people do not understand. Actually, both sides agree that mental health and fitness together is a holistic health.
Thanks, Leon. What we'll do is that we will commence. Today is a Friday afternoon. Thank you so much for joining once again. We do this once again every last Friday of every month. So feel free to actually look out for the newsletter. Feel free to actually look out for our emails. And yeah, I believe we can possibly begin. We want to welcome Leon. We want to thank him for his time as well. And we hope to have a great and fruitful Q&A later. So Leon, you can take it away.
Thank you. So everyone officially comments now, just to manage your expectations. So thank you again, Jeremy, Andrea from Aventis, and of course Aventis for giving me the privilege of this platform. So we'll do the seminar, the workshop for 40 minutes. Yeah. So after that, it will be a long Q&A. So please feel free to store your questions. Then later on, can ask them in one shot. So today's session will be about how counseling can help us in our well-being. And today, this is umbrella term. Today, I would like to scope and especially focus on getting the buy-in of all of you, to be honest, all right? And of course, then I'm holding myself up to this chopping board, of course. How come there is tangibles of how counseling skills or mental well-being can help us even in well-being. And in fact, we need to have a positive or what is called growth mindset. Okay, so by the end of this workshop, here are also some of my commitments. We will all learn that is our thinking and interpretation of the situation and not people or situation. In the counseling terms, is known as the external factors that affect with us. Yeah, or of course, if you're a leader, you're like a parent, right? How knowing this will help you in your journey of guiding, anyone. Next, we'll learn how actually brain does grow, how our brain grows, and what may prevent it from doing so. Some of you may already imagine, some would be, of course, to not have a growth mindset, right? So next is where we'll become aware of the quality. So we make growth mindset tangible. Yeah, I'm no expert, nor am I a practitioner of growth mindset, but after reading up on it, right? So I'm just someone that reads on it. I don't sell this course on growth mindset, but as a counselor graduate as well, I also find that this ties in to mental well-being. So lastly, this is just that I will encourage and suggest, okay, at the end of the workshop, instead of just, all right, it's good, great, or neutral workshop, then that's it. Please do reflect. I will facilitate this by recapping again how come self-limiting mindset is a very real thing. So on the opposite spectrum of growth mindset, we have fixed and self-limiting mindsets. And then hopefully that helps you to prepare yourself for the year, or in our case, the rest of the year. Okay, so why should everyone adopt a positive or growth mindset for well-being? Okay, let's look at the well-being definition first. Right, there is many definitions, but this is the one I've chosen. I think it's general and relatable to all of us. Well-being can be said that it is the experience of health, happiness, and prosperity. Sounds familiar, right? I mean, like some might say, well, I don't exercise because more important is financial. With financial, everything comes to place. So yeah, we take that into account too. It includes having good mental health, high life satisfaction. So I repeat that, good mental health, and that encompasses life satisfaction, higher, a sense of meaning or purpose, and ability to manage stress. This well-being is not set by a counseling context, it's by a health context. And there's evidence that suggests that there are steps we can take to improve our mental well-being. And these are 5 things to achieve. Okay, so I quoted, so this word is not by me. If I could, I would think that 5 things, right, we can do, right? But of course, in this case, they term it as steps. These 5 things are connect, so form meaningful connections, be active. And I think what they mean by be active is be active like all of you right now. You took a good step to come and learn. And I don't know better, but yeah, hopefully my sharing, and when I share something new, vice versa, when you all share with me something new, we can all, being active in this growth mindset, we can all benefit from it. And this is one of the steps that will help ourselves to have better well-being. Then we can take notice, in a layman term, be more mindful, right? Then keep learning and give. So do you see, this is not something I invented, I quoted. So these last 2 factors, keep learning and give. Be active can be active in many sense. Be active in upgrading yourself in other wellness, be it physical, be it spiritual, be it intellect even. Right. So let's put a picture to what I'm blabbering about. Right. Okay. So thank you for those that have been waiting to try to figure out and try to imagine what is Leon trying to say here. So I'm actually trying to show you this concept. Yeah. So this wheel, I would call this the holistic well-being. Just now, I already have a prelude as to why there's a lot of misunderstanding, and even people feel that, oh, fitness trainers is fitness trainer. Then mental well-being, as in, is maybe true. Not all are certified or have experience in both fields, but you all might think that, oh, so they don't complement each other. You won't see a fitness trainer saying that, oh, mental health is important. Actually, that's not true. Yeah, if you really go through a proper fitness course, we are taught this. Then of course, I guess if you go through a psychology course or for counseling social science course, you also help you understand that, in fact, you see this emotional black, the one on the right, the emotional part of this pie, and spiritual is important. So be it whether the counseling is religion affiliated or not, it does acknowledge, so counseling itself, which is religion neutral, does take into the fact and see it as is logical and scientific that spirituality is important. Why? Because just now we did talk about, we need to have a sense of connection, belonging. Yeah. So of course, then I was sharing that prosperity also matters, right? So because career is like Maslow's hierarchy of need. Okay, for those of you who are not familiar with this, Maslow is a psychologist that has invented the idea that, but everyone's need doesn't appear like this chart. It's a step-by-step ladder. Because would you crave for spiritual and emotional well-being before you even have basic needs like survival? So I do not disagree, but I'll talk about more of this later and share about, first of all, how in the modern context this step-by-step hierarchy doesn't really apply. Or even number 2, why not we can think out of the box? Do not just think 2D. Let's think about 3-dimensional way. And why not that is simultaneous? Yeah. So in my personal opinion, it is simultaneous. Okay, and then last definition to look through, okay? Because well-being is well-being. There is also resilience. Then I'll talk about growth mindset. So what is resilience? Okay, there is 2 definitions, and now these are 2 different definitions of resilience. One is this, it can be said it is the ability to return to the original form. So you see, this isn't very humane way of saying it, yeah, but I purposely chose this. So if you are asking or looking upon if an object has resilience, it can apply too. So example, is this material resilient? We can say it this way, right? Then yeah, I think it's resilient because it can go back to its original form after being bent, compressed, stretched out. You see how if this is applicable to immaterial things, it applies to human as well. Okay, and here comes the second definition. So it can also be said that in a human sense, it's a human's ability to recover quickly from disruptive change or misfortune, that means out of their control as well, but they can recover without being overwhelmed or acting in dysfunctional or harmful ways. So which means that, yes, there are senses and times whereby things doesn't make sense and misfortune is the attribute, example, a tsunami. But yeah, so besides being counting our blessing for those that did not go through a tsunami, but what if you went through a tsunami? Can you blame it on misfortune? Yes, but what next? All right, this is the point. So that's why resilient is a real trait and attribute. All right. Okay, we will go into activities now. Okay, I understand this is not the most interactive platform, but so I hope you really back at home, back wherever you are, think. So this is a soft activity where I need you to really reflect, think it through. Then raise your hand in your heart. Yeah, I can't see you guys, but you can or give yourself an acknowledgement. So I'd like to ask all of you, have any of us not failed a task or subject? Have any of us not achieved a goal or resolution set, disclaimer, completely? Or feel like a failure? Or feel like you are inadequate or short of achieving overall or perfect success? Chances are you do. And what's my point? That it is normal. I'm not trying to brush off that these are hardships that you being through. But what should we do about it? First of all, in reality, I think that later I'll quote Albert Einstein. There is a real historical example that even Einstein, what is everyone agreed as a genius, goes through a failure. In fact, an academic failure. Yeah, so it is normal. I would say that life is like a like a graph that's like a stock chart. So even stocks that rise, Apple, they don't go like a flat straight line up. It's not linear. They are like real stocks. Even when they climb aggressively, it's like a heartbeat, and that's called non-linear. It means it rises and have micro falls. So if even the real world, real corporate works like that, why should we hold on to a belief that is not normal, that we should even fail once? Yeah, thanks for Nick to agreeing. All right, so we all have been through challenging times, right? And we really shared Albert Einstein. What is the academic thing he flung? Okay, here's the answer. He flung the language, zoology, and botany sections. Oh, sorry for the spacing. All right, anyway, I repeat. So not just one module, yeah? Language, zoology, and botany sections of a polytechnic, Zurich Polytechnic to be, but on the first try. Okay, to credit him, he did not give up, right? So instead of me blabbering on and talking, I'd like to show you. All right. Sorry, please ignore. I know it's a very big and it's very wordy, it's very graphical. Okay, but basically just I'll use annotate function now. Basically, please ignore this portion. Just focus on the background. Okay, this is from a counseling theory called choice theory. What is this about? Okay, first of all, Albert Einstein's story. In a parallel universe, let's imagine this. Albert Einstein flunked the language, zoology, and botany sections, right? More than one on the first try. And it's a fact that he says that he hated the system. But in reality, what did he do? So in my opinion, according to the choice theory lenses, right, he looked into his quality world. So like the words are just quality. There is what is my best version of my world. You can control everything how I want it to be. And we all know, right, he would want to, and I'm glad he did, try to find breakthroughs in discoveries, and purely with his genius mind, just by hypothetical thought experimenting. I think he's taught me when like that. When he looked into his quality world, he's like, well, it's in the end. I mean, people might not remember me if I did not feel anything at all, but I'm not a genius. Maybe. Of course, this is an exaggerated example, but you can think of it as, I'm certain that in his mind, maybe a dialogue could have went something like this. Well, others and everyone's grades recognition matters, but, well, it's about what I want for myself and what I enjoy. And we all know, if you are a fan of Albert Einstein, he enjoys learning. And more importantly, he enjoys learning for the sake of learning. not for academic. So what did he choose? Not for academic showing of credentials. So yes, in the end, it was very impressive, but back at this point of time in his life, so in the parallel universe, imagine that he perceives the world not as with his positive and growth mindset. He perceives it as, but no, once I have a failure, I won't ever be a genius. So he has set a false reality for himself. This is a parallel universe. Yeah, everybody, don't worry. You are not in the wrong world right now. How come Leon is talking about false history? I'm in a thought experiment. In the parallel world, if Albert Einstein does not have resilience, does not have a positive and growth mindset, this may be what is happening. So according to choice theory, whereas there's so many colors, so we can't control on the real world and what happens, right? And maybe even the information it goes to us. Remember in the beginning, but I said that actually it's up to us to perceive what people and even circumstances are, and then make sense of it into like the colors, a feeling. So you can think of it as the green is neutral, red is negative, yellow is positive, right? Yellow like gold, right? But if you think about it, actually, we ourselves assign these values mostly. Yeah, of course, everything's to a certain extent, but we can do so to ourselves. That means there is a choice, especially when it comes to our own self. We can't control how other people think, but we can totally control how we think. So in Albert Einstein's case, you may say it's a fluke, you may say it's not, but he has managed or control himself to have a growth mindset. He did not assign a negative value or too negative a value to this small, minute event that's just a hurdle, a hindrance to his journey of becoming a genius. He is resilient. So looking at, I'll draw a line now. So look at the universe number one. Sorry for the line being not the straightest, right? I'm not really at the flat table right now. All right, so I'm dividing the table into, so you can look at my hand, just top and bottom. So in the real world, luckily for us, Einstein is resilient. So imagine he did not have a growth mindset, did not have resilient, he did not behave in a resilient way. He would have quitted. And then all these theories that some of you may not be a fan of his theory, but well, it has set the path for people to think about it. So now can I zoom in everyone to look into the car? All right, what I want you to look at the car is technically if we identify ourselves as like a car, right? Of course we're also human being, one human, but we can break down our body parts into brains, limbs of arms and legs. So same. In the mental sense, in choice theory, they will liken how we manage behavior as like a car. I really love this. Okay, some of you, if you do not resonate, let me explain. If we are in the driver's seat, right? Or just like in real life, when you drive a car, do you know that the back wheel just simply spins forward? It does not turn left or right. But what helps us to steer the car in going left or right, a certain degree even, is the fact that the steering wheel can totally control the front two wheels. So if you can zoom into the car, and of course, apologies if you can't see clearly, the car in the choice theory sense, they liken the first front two wheels as actions, and our thoughts, thinking is totally within our control. What is indirect and not totally within our control, just to be managed, is feelings and physiology. Knowing this and managing this itself is very powerful. Why? So in this case, Albert Einstein's case, we can think of it as he did not let his feeling, because let's be real, who will not feel dejected even in the slightest upon a failure? But it's what you make sense of it. So in a way, before he even lets the feeling of dejection become the main feeling, right? He has managed this feeling and decided and control, or maybe you can call it manage his thought into, but he went to a comparing place. So as you can see, comparing place in parallel universe number one, if he assigns a one meaning the one below, okay? If he assigns the value as, okay, it's not too negative, right? So as you can see, the car hugely is gold, but there's a bit of red, right? Then he focuses and thinks in a constructive way, resilient way, that means productive. And then his actions will be productive as well. So just like the arrow that's shooting out of the car in the front, he will also behave that way. Same for if in the parallel universe, if you see the top car now, everyone. So if you look at the top car, see the back of the car, the bum of the car, BUM, okay, that means the back side of the car, you would, is hugely red. Let's say he has decided to look upon this failure as the greatest failure of his life. So what will happen instead of, so you can think of it as like the arrow up generally means good, all right? So instead of like the parallel universe number one, the car in the bottom moving upwards, then his car will sink down, go more and more hugely because of how himself think. And then eventually he will have quit. Maybe he might no longer be a scientist that we all know. All right. Okay, moving on. All right, so after rambling about this story of Albert Einstein, all right, let's do more activities. All right, please let me remove the annotate. Undo, undo, undo. Okay, all right, everyone. So this is the activity time. Just now I was storytelling. Okay, so let's build some self-awareness about our own beliefs instead of focusing on Albert Einstein. All right. So I call this activity statement resonating. Okay, this is where everyone, okay, please pay attention and engage for your own sake. All right, engage in yourself. Okay, about whether you resonate with this statement. Okay, as the following statements flash before you, if you find yourself agreeing with this, you can raise your hand, okay, or even put in the chat box. Yeah, you do identify. Okay, have you ever, or did you think that it's a fact that some people are more talented? And how do you explain why some people can do music and art so well? Okay, and yourself may be able to draw a statement. All right, this is again a funny and exaggerated example, but food for thought. Okay, the answer is this. If you do identify this statement, this is the example of already a self-limiting, a not pro-growth mindset. All right, don't worry, this isn't like meaning you are bad for thinking this way. But later on, I'll share more about how come you might want to think on the other perspective. So a better example of someone with growth mindset could be like this. It can be applied to the same way, just that in this way, the second sentence words are different, but it could be in the same context. Yeah, someone who thinks and have this statement that resonates with them can be, we all have our individual strength. It just happened that mine is not subject Z. In this case, not music, not art. Yeah. My strength is in viewing the activity yourself. Because others does better than me, I am hence a failure. I am embarrassed, or I should feel embarrassed. It's not wrong again to think of this way, but back to the choice theory again. Is there a need to assign such a huge negative value? I mean, you can accept the situation, but what next? And acceptance have different ways of accepting. How about accepting the situation? Maybe you accept that you are not good, but it's not you as a person, but rather that your ability is separate from your identity. So one more, a better way to think of it, a more growth mindset, a more positive way is that, so example, if above, my strength is not in patience, I am hence a failure. I don't know why I'm just so short-tempered. I should feel embarrassed. This could be in a real world context. This could be someone that has offended before, but imagine the offender just drowns in this and then always go back to the system, meaning the prison. How would you say they can reframe their mindset, or reframe or re-narrate how they can actually name the situation? They can just think of it this way. Actually, I'm a person with bad temper. I have been like this since young. I cannot change. Whoever makes me angry is their fault. Okay, then this is the same. Okay, so don't be mistaken. Yeah, all these are both and unboth one. They are not meaning positive or negative. So one more good way they can reframe is they can actually think of it as, I'm just a person with bad temper. I've been like this since young, but I can change. So simply adopting a mindset that what's past is past, and like I shared earlier. But so imagine if I reframe this sentence into, I've been like this since young, I hope to change. Okay, let's not make a very positive, overly flowery and dreamy example. We don't need to be I can change immediately. Of course, that's ideal. But if someone, or you guiding someone, or you guiding yourself, can be that, well, I have a bad temper. And when someone feeds back to you, and then you feel bad about it. So you are saying this because you want to change. Don't just end the sentence there. Okay, I have a bad temper. I've been like this since young. See, you can even go on further, but instead of but I can't change, you can end it as, I have been like this since young. I hope to change. Let me think of whether there is a way that I can change. Then you list down, and then you just think, for example, even using this negative statement, okay, it's always other people that makes me angry. It is their fault. You can reframe it as, but whenever I'm angry, it is because someone made me angry. That is the entry point. From then on, you can even start to break down. Okay, so if you are guiding yourself, break it down into, oh, but I remember that Leon's workshop says that, but actually we can totally control our thoughts. So yes, it is someone's fault, Sean's fault. Okay, example, Sean, okay, makes me angry because he's teasing me about my family. Okay, but you can list it down as, because Sean teased me, and immediately I feel embarrassed as long as I did not revoke him or fight back. Yeah, you can start to think of it as, oh, actually in between, Sean does not dictate my feeling. There is no such power bestowed upon him. I have unconsciously or perhaps unknowingly bestowed the negative value on this event. People at the side looking might not be actually agreeing with him. So why am I being so hard on myself and imagining that I must be embarrassed already? Okay, I'll skip for the time's sake. These are more examples, all right? So there's always another narrative, another perspective. So anyway, this last example that did not run through. So example, even an example of, oh, but learning in Zoom is forever not the same, it's different. It is true, but on the other side of the coin, learning in Zoom has its new opportunity. For example, right now, and I just attended a face-to-face workshop. I really relate with this and think it's logical, not subjective. When you go to the toilet, yes, you need to close your video and everything, but you can listen to the speaker even as you step for a break. So sorry, for example of toilet, yeah, as in when you need to step out of the physical learning environment, which means Zoom is mobile learning. I can still attempt to email and seek lecturers individual consulting if I need to seek their direct consultation, right? So you see, growth mindset also inclines us to focus on solution. Okay, and here's more example. So this time I would like to separate the positive and what's called growth mindset on the right. Okay, on your right, if you look at screen, to the one that's negative, and fixed mindset on the left. Okay, so for today, because I'll leave more on Q&A, I can share the slides. I will allow Andrea, no, don't worry, these slides will not be like my own property, or I'm willing to share it. So in the left, okay, so especially parents out there, I hope this is a good sharing, a good soft blessing from me to you. Okay, you can read this through and then see, yeah, how do I try to identify whether my child, okay, is having a growth mindset. Oh, by the way, so if your child have always a very healthy mindset, praise it. Do not praise their result. Along the way, you already feel they have a good mindset. Just express your approval and liking for it. Yeah. And so at the same time, if they have fixed mindset, do not be punitive. Right. Just say, but I think, could you be having what I would think is a very fixed mindset? Then they say, but no, okay, I'm just not good at a certain subject here. Then maybe you say, but can I think of it? I'm the same as you. Okay, if for you, you can relate. If for your case, if you would like to talk to your child about a subject that you were good at, you can say, but someone else, right? But so and so is also bad at the module at first. I think, how did they improve? I'm certainly did not think in a fixed mindset, in a way that you think right now. You're being too hard on yourself. Okay, instead of thinking, okay, I will not be able to clear my POA module, all right, because everyone have individual strength. It just happened that mine is not in principal accounts for this case. Yep, all right. So another good example again would be, I'll be able to clear my principal of account module as long as I persist at doing it well throughout the year. All right. So my main point is this, a disclaimer, by the way. So of course, we need to accept the situation. We do not want your child to just say, okay, so according to growth mindset, right, failure is fine, totally fine. All I have to do is nothing. I accept. Right. Acceptance is good. Okay, but acceptance does not mean giving up. So the idea is to accept it with a positive solution-based growth mindset. So I will summarize it as this: acceptance is not submitting. So through a positive mindset way of acceptance is that, okay, I'm accepting it, but I'm not submitting to a situation. Failure now does not mean failure forever. And I have a choice to decide what to do with it, right? So this, before we end this segment, okay, not the overall segment, right? I'm done with the first half of our segment. This is based on not choice theory, but a counseling theory called the cognitive behavioral theory. Right. So according to cognitive behavioral theory, I think this theory makes sense because you can break it down into logic. This diagram shows that our thoughts dictates our feelings can dictate our behavior, and our behavior can dictate our thoughts, and vice versa. And even the flow can be changed. So you are looking at it correctly. The arrows are bidirectional because behavior can affect thoughts, but likewise, thoughts can affect behaviors. So that's why this is from another theory, but remember the car theory. That's why I was saying the choice theory about the behavioral management concept of like a car. So to refresh you, just think of it as we can totally control our own thoughts and actions, and that's very powerful. So although we cannot control the teacher's action and behavior, of course, and of course the teacher have to give you a reality, a bad mark if you aren't there yet. But because you can manage how your feelings translate into thoughts, into behavior, or even better yet, to not assign a feeling based on a too rigid, too negative mindset. It is very powerful, and this helps our well-being, or even your loved ones' help well-being. So example, maybe one other way to approach when you hear a fixed statement, a negative statement from them is that, how are you feeling right now? They say, no, daddy, I'm feeling very bad. I feel that like everyone's okay with the subject, but I'm not. It's just me. I'm embarrassed. So you ask them, how do you feel? Yeah, I feel sad and in fact angry. Just this itself is very powerful, because when you ask their feelings, and they say, and what do you think about? You can ask yourself or ask your child, in my example here, then what do you think is the reason? And if they share the reason is a negative mindset, then you ask them why, and maybe they will share furthermore some what we call negative automatic thoughts. So when you were asking them and trying to empathize with them, you're already using a counseling skill. It's called active listening. So you did not just or straight away dismiss them. And why be sad? Why be angry? Please, this is the number one no. First is to listen their feelings, because only then can you apply the skill of trying to empathize with them, number one. Number two, but most importantly, sieve out their thoughts. Yeah, and then using this idea of a cognitive triad where thoughts, feelings, and behaviors affect one another, guide them, encourage them, flip their narrative from a fixed mindset, a self-limiting mindset, a self-negative assigning, okay, if you would, kind of situation, and flip their mindset around and ask them, actually, do you think your teacher also went through tests? And they say, yeah. And do you think your teacher never failed before? And of course, maybe some teachers never failed before, but do you think your teacher get 100 all the time? See, this is already one example of how we can use cognitive triad example to manage that feelings translating to a destructive or of course unproductive thought or unproductive behavior, which means, okay, I hate math, and then they throw the books. All right, then this is already an example. All right, so we have come to the end of the segment of me getting you to buy in why it's tangible that positive mindset matters. In fact, so positive mindset and growth mindset, I've used it in the interchangeable way, but I like to say that this both itself is a study of its own. All right, so we are now moving on to why, and now I'm getting you to see. I'm now trying to sell, of course, not my services. Yeah, I'm trying to sell to you the concept of how come all these are tangible. Is true. Our brains truly can learn, and failure, as long as you are having a positive mindset, can and must be overcome if you manage it. So we must first buy into the idea that our brains can learn. Let's do this activity. This will be the last, and we're at the second segment. All right, can we all okay, sorry, you do not have a handout. Okay, this is when I also did other workshop, so I give them a pen and paper. All right, if you don't have, you can simply use the whiteboard function or just open the pin function of your computer, phone. All right, I'll play this video. All right, just give me a while. Okay, I won't play it throughout. Okay, and I will change the screen over to this video. Yeah. Okay, actually, I did a time check and I realized that actually the best way is to, okay, I'll just verbally tell all of you actually what the video is about. So the man that you see, right, he is what we call a visual learning expert. So what will happen during the video is, all right, and I'll share the link later if you all would like to. Okay, he challenges everyone, and that's what I'm now trying to do. All right, let's try to draw this character over here, okay? And I'll tell you I'm using annotation. So rest assured, I'll be drawing at my worst of the worst. I'm not a good person to draw, all right? But can you see the whiteboard? Can I check? Okay, all right. If someone's helpful, can you please give me a thumbs up? Okay, at least assure me you can see the whiteboard. Okay. Okay, all right. So can I challenge you all to draw this character called Spike? Okay. As you can see, I'm drawing his eye. So terrible, isn't it? All right. Oh, even the hair is drawn wrongly. There is the undo button. So just as in real life, we can undo. Okay. All right. Okay. I don't think that is good at all. All right. But my point is this. All right. So in the video, if you watch along with me, all right, the person that guide you, or even now as I'm person guiding you, imagine now, okay, let me guide you through by drawing the same drawing now on the, some of you will call this a foolscap paper with lines. All right. And as you all can imagine, right now, if with the lines guidance, sorry about that. So with the lines guidance, right, or you can even insert a proper line. Okay, so this is real. Some of you might feel that, oh, I'm purposely drawing very ugly, but now I have to show you my second attempt. Okay, but I think you all will get the point. So the whole point is, now that I draw a second time, right, who wouldn't be better, because practice makes perfect. All right, anyway, I'm using, of course, a thicker marker, okay, but you get the idea. Drawing again, all right, practice makes perfect. And just now, if I play the video, you all will see that this time, the guidance of the doctor, right, Dr. Graham, he will guide you slower. He wouldn't employ this method that I use. This line method, right, will not be what he employed. But because he will now ensure, so on the first, in the video on the first part, he will ask everyone to raise, and then only less than half of the audience raise, and they'll raise something like mine, a very terrible drawing. But on the second time, he did the same way, but slower, and make sure everyone completes step by step first. I think if there are teachers here, you can relate. This is called scaffolding. Yeah. So then that is the end of the video. But his point would be that, all right, for to those that can't draw yet, he also still says that, you see, but there were people around you that can't draw on the first try. On the second try, they can. All right. But so the main message, instead of practice makes perfect, is about that. There is self-limiting belief. All right, drawing is not what he's trying to advocate, but he's trying to say that if a skill set, all right, can be picked up, so there is people in the audience that they just could not do so on the first try, and then second try they did it. This is to say that self-limiting beliefs will hinder someone from trying with a focused mindset. And then he did not say this, but so I want to challenge all of y'all. So what was the way that I did to think out of the box, other than guiding and scaffolding people to draw through a slower and part by part guidance? All right. Okay. For time's sake, I'll review the answer. So the answer is to actually think about, first of all, implementing, guide. So what we can control, we implement. We can control. So for example, if you do a painting, right, instead of drawing, if you use a foolscap first, then you paint over it once before you start on the actual same size white piece of paper, chances are that you'll be better. All right. And then I want to ask you all to think of it this way. If you can flip your screen around, right? All right, everybody, okay. This is the part where I think it's like a small breakthrough, okay, a small mind-blowing moment. So what if you have a child and they throw a tantrum? Okay, then example, they draw how I do, and then but you assure them, yeah, good, nice. Then they're like, no, it's so ugly compared to what was shown by teacher. I'm bad, I suck. All right, I don't mean to be a artist. I think I don't want to go any art lessons, but we all know that that's not possible. That's not a reality that you can just skip art class. It's part of a holistic education curriculum. So you can then guide them. Okay, you see, so imagine that, okay, they draw this way. Say, okay, can you now draw with me? And okay, let's not think of it as, so parents will think of this technique as redirecting. You can redirect them to, again, reframe what I just shared with you. Okay, boy, girl, can we now not draw? Okay, But I want you to now think of it as, can we draw, not can draw, sorry, can we write, like in English, there is punctuation, right? So you flip your mindset around, even right now, okay, I am waiting to see if anyone has a response, right? Technically, you can actually change the narrative that you are drawing eyes, right? Let me point to you. So instead of you are drawing eyes and nose into, you are drawing comma and full stop. So, and not really full stop, but slash, all right? And this nose over the left side, okay, bracket. Yeah, okay, you get the drift. Okay. Yep. So that is our activity. And I already asked you what are some other ways you can guide someone. Please feel free to share. I'm sure there's many other methods, right? So I share with you mine. I hope y'all can share also if there's any other methods. I'm a parent myself, right? So soon to be a father of more. I am a father already, but it's only an infant, soon to be of a toddler. I appreciate sharing as well, right? And advices. Okay, so to unpack the activities, right, as we almost come to the end, right, it's 40 minutes, almost 40 minutes. Okay, I would like to summarize, give ourselves a closure. What have we learned? So actually, effort is real, and effort is the key, the action, like the car, remember, and which we can totally control. Effort, action is key to success. Belief really plays a part. Belief, rather than talent and ability, helps us. It even challenges ourselves to push boundaries. So if we have positive mindset, we have a growth mindset, of course, our inclination is productive action. So these positive beliefs matter. These thoughts then guides our behavior, and then usually the chances are the execution is optimal. Like just now, to be honest, I was panicking. Really, I mean, like that's why you see the second drawing, I wasn't using the correct annotation, but I try to make my point across. So I was practicing managing my own thoughts. All right, instead of letting the feelings of anxiety get the better of me. I mean, I was still anxious and am still anxious as I drew, but I told myself, all right, let's think about and control what I can totally control, which is my action. Let's think about how I can show across the point that we can still use line, right, to and then although I could not find, so I was panicking because I thought I could find like inserting a very, very nice, flat, correct, straight line. So I was like, okay, well, why not? Why can't I just like keep calm and draw a line myself, right? Because I'm sure all of us here will still be able to get the point, all right? So instead of just panicking, asking Andrea, Jeremy, come out and help me, okay, which I would think, yes, of course, like we can tap on resources, okay, people's help, but how about optimally? Yeah, think about what can be done to have optimal execution. So example, so when we take action and focus effort on what works and what does not, that itself is already very productive. Because when you focus on what works, right, instead of what does not work, when you want to achieve something, every time matters, right? So every second, you can evaluate what does not work for the sake of learning after the situation is solved. Okay, the context would be all the examples I shared. So if yourself have a learning limiting belief about learning, your kid that you want to guide has such a limiting belief. So to help their well-being, you might want to tell them, okay, and you yourself there and then want to focus on what works, which is not to invalidate their feeling and just to control and want to brush aside their feelings. Absorb the situation, accept the situation. This way it all comes together. Okay, so technically my example of trying to listen and empathize with the kid is because I accepted the situation. I accepted that the kid is not feeling positive. I do not want to control that her feeling or his feeling, but I want to assess and make sense. Okay, and that's why empathy helps. Okay, I'm not trying to sympathize. Empathize means I'm trying to also understand how she is feeling and thinking. So that will help me be in control of her or his inner world. Okay, and last few points before conclusion. So look at the comic over here. All right. So a simple example of two child. Let's say these two boy and girl, both of them can't swing. You see the difference if someone has a positive mindset of let's go swing, right? And even when her negative friend says, but I can't swing, then she offers, well, imagine the scenario changes. Let's try, why not? And I know a bit of swinging. I can teach you, even though I'm still figuring out. But if his response is all about unproductive thoughts, I tried before, I can't do it, and that's it. You see the absolute, the negative automatic thinking here in the CBT. For those who know CBT, it's got a negative automatic thinking of already personalizing his failure. All right. So that was one, right? He's no longer young, right? So why is this boy attributing the fact that, example, they failed one subject in a point in time? Does it mean forever in time when the rest of your future is still unwritten? All right. Okay, so I'll just read off quickly. So in a fixed mindset, okay, to give you a closure, to hope you have something to edge on. So these are the bullet points. Think of it as people with not a very productive mindset, fixed mindset, not a positive, not a growth mindset, will have fixed traits. Their goal, okay, so realize this, their goal usually will become to look smart. It's very external driven. Example, my anger management example earlier as well. The person says that, well, but because I was provoked, okay. So if the person always thinks this way, why? To understand why, it could be that person's goal is always to look smart and never look dumb. Okay, nothing wrong, but the goal is very external driven. So it does not it's not congruent, coherent with my what I was sharing, and hope that people adopt that. You must believe that you can't control your feelings, but you totally can control your thoughts. This is a counseling skill, yeah. So by recognizing this, before you yourself you yourself assign a huge negative value, just like the behavioral car example of Albert Einstein, to a situation and let it affect the rest of your day, right? Something as bad has happened and it's the person's fault, it's an irritating person. But the fact that you try to not let this ruin your day starts by you not letting that feeling control and take over your thoughts, which you totally can control. Your thoughts, then your actions. So in the growth mindset, because the belief that abilities can be developed through effort and everyone can get smarter, so there's a positive regard for both themselves and others. So they will be congruent. They will believe that, oh well, because he or she can, right? So they do not look upon someone doing better as it means that they can't because someone is occupying that space, but rather that that person is there. So my example of that, even the teacher, and then even if the kid says, no, I don't think teacher fail before, if not, how come teacher become a teacher? Then you can say, but do you think teacher gets 100 all the time? Remember the example? Yeah. So you yourself must have a buy-in to be able to have quick growth mindset responses like that. Okay, so growth mindset is also believe that qualities can be developed and changed through effort. And this was my example. Okay, so looking at the pictures, right? So this is again just a representation of the cognitive triad, whereby feelings, they can come in the form of symptoms, because after you're anxious, you may hyperventilate. Then if you cannot control your thoughts, so your thoughts, if misinterpretation is thoughts, have you misinterpreting and assigning too much negative value to a situation, like Albert Einstein's example, then of course he will have increased anxiety, or in his case, increased negative feelings. All right, and then it will just be a whole cycle again. And of course, increased negative actions as well. So instead of like being calm and study, he's always agitated, angry all the time. So we can even apply this to this picture example. Okay, I put a positive sign because a juggler can either be focused and get better within a day by focusing on his symptom, right? That he's anxious, but he dips breath, or he just throws the bowling pins on the floor. This will be because he misinterpreted the situation. He allowed his increased anxiety to get the better of him. The girl example here. See, the girl is sad. And yes, most of us, if you fall quickly into thinking the fact that, oh, because it seems like the girls are gossiping. But do you note that these girls' eyes are really not at her? They could be talking about someone else. Lastly, it could be they are actually planning a surprise for her. So funny that if due to a misinterpretation, the girl has a bad day inflicted upon herself, right? And lastly, more reasons why growth and fixed mindset is real, all right? Because inaction is also action. So what it means is that, all right, by ending off a narrative with a negative mindset, we are actually depriving ourselves of every time and second to try to work harder. All right, so I'll end this with the last sharing, the choice theory, which is something that I keep on talking about. All right, you can check this out. I'll share the resources, but just like the fitness circle, in the mental health way, okay, survival, belonging, power, fun, and freedom need, all of us have it. But it's unlike this circle, okay? It's in different. So Jeremy's one maybe power, freedom, or just an example, Jeremy. Mine maybe belonging is mostly. So You need to figure out that for yourself. And that's why the first step is to also figure out and have a growth mindset. All right, and these are resources that I'll share. All right, actually, I have verbally already shared with them. The left side, just a quick one. This is like a cheat sheet. All right, connecting habit. Okay, when you have a growth mindset, you will behave this way and you will form better. So it's like a cycle. You will form better relationship, have a better sense of belonging. Your quality world will be better. Then if you have a negative mindset, you always have this connecting habit. Yep, these are suggested resources. Later we'll share more after the Q&A, but just to flash it through you, Dr. Fong from Christopher Fong from Aventis, right? He also have his own framework of a quality world. It's called what? The F's, okay? It's not a vulgarity, right? I would just to say the F's are all financial freedom. So it's a bit parallel to Dr. William Glasser. Left side, he's the founder of the choice theory framework, the car Albert Einstein, okay, example. Right, I'd like to conclude with this. Everyone, journey is what brings us happiness. The cliche term is happiness is a journey, not a destination. I agree, but I like this better. Right, I repeat, the journey is what brings us happiness. See the mind frame shift. I repeat, the journey. So you having a family, if you have a family person, right? Example, should you stop to enjoy your child's growing years, or do you want to keep on thinking you are inadequate? Okay, and it may be true, but do you want to totally only work on being adequate and not enjoy the journey of your child growing there and right in front of you, right? And I'd like to say, even Albert Einstein says this. It's not that he is smart. You see, the genius says that it's not smart. It's just that he stays with problems longer. So can we all be more resilient to life? Okay, that's it for my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leon. We shall move on to this slide whereby there is a QR code. Firstly, thank you all for joining. Before we answer your questions, because there are questions, let's move on to this QR code whereby we can quickly assess the efficacy of this talk, right? So in this survey, it's just very quick. You can do it within 1 to 2 minutes. Right now, you can scan with your phone. You can eventually actually do this survey, and you can tell us, how this talk went, how was it insightful, how was it actually useful. And also at the same time, at the bottom segment, you will find out that actually should your HR or should your organization be interested in, employee counseling and etc. etc. It's part of our EAP actually. It's part of our employee assistance program. We will actually reach out to your HR. We will actually reach out to your relevant department. So take your time, just a 1 minute to 2 minute kind of survey form. Eventually, we will answer the questions right now. We have some questions, some actually quite insightful questions as well. So Leon will take some time, and we can actually manage the questions slowly. So just 1 more minute, scan the QR code and do up the survey. It will mean a lot to us, and I definitely want to thank you guys all. It's a Friday coming to evening already, so we actually want to wish you guys a happy weekend as well. So yeah, just take another 30 seconds more to fill up the form. Thank you so much.
And just in case Christina and Pramanathan, you are the one who asked the question. Okay, if you are done already with QR code or you can multitask, I will answer your question now as well. If your question for Christina, the question is, if one has no motivation to set goals, is this a warning sign for any mental health condition? I would say it's too generalized. Not that your question is bad. So that's a good question. I'm just trying to say that so when someone has no motivation, right, it's multifactorial. Okay, I repeat. So it's just that it's multifactorial. So you're not wrong either. But yeah, to go straight into being too anxious, right? So still keep that concern, yeah. But to be anxious that whether this could be mental health condition, all right, is a good thing. But the steps to go step by step is not to think and try to wait and assess if there's a mental health condition. But what I shared earlier, remember I was sharing that we want to empathize with the person first and then uncover their thoughts and their feelings. I repeat, uncover, seek to empathize. Okay, so empathize, naturally this process of uncovering thoughts and feelings should happen, because if you are empathizing, right, you will be able to even say words that they agree, thoughts, identifying their thoughts, attuned to their thoughts, saying feelings that they agree, right? So this will already help, right? So next question. All right. So Pramanathan asks, so how to control emotion, feeling of anger during a tiring situation? Let me pause to think. Yeah. I know this is a simple question, but I would like to really give you in the context of our workshop. Okay, Pramanathan, so in the context of my examples used just now, I was also saying someone is angry and said someone provoked you. All right. So example, if you are living with someone, okay, so I want to quote this example. You are living with someone that is really, really, okay, example, a gaslighting boss. All right, okay. So, but how do you control? Okay, you don't have to control because the reason is you don't just want to invalidate the feeling, but you want to control your thoughts and action that may arise from the feeling. So I repeat, yeah. So first of all, it's okay. Do not let the anger get the better of you. Accept. Remember, I said accept the situation, all right? But not accept in the submission, all right? Accept that this is the feeling, and yes, it is caused by someone because that someone is being a jerk, all right? Okay. So, or of course, female will be also a jerk, all right? As in someone that is not very ideal. But that someone does not have the power to ruin your day, to control your action and thoughts, right? Thoughts is what ruin our day. If we let the anger feeling stay too long, right, without accepting and closure, giving a closure, that is usually the case. So I would say that first of all, not take in the anger and then just be a victim, but something like, okay, why am I feeling angry? So empathize with yourself. Long story short, just like my earlier example, try to do that for yourself. Hey, what am I feeling and thinking beyond the anger? Then maybe you feel it could be layers, all right? Anyway, anger behind could be a mix of anger as well as sadness that I'm stuck in this situation. Yeah, then ask yourself, actually, why do I feel sad that I'm in this situation? Then you could have thoughts that you catch yourself thinking like, oh, because I find that actually I'm worth better. Yeah. So you see, focus on that. Focus on the fact that, okay, actually the situation is that I'm not worth what he or she say. That then focus on that. So I hope this answers the question as to how do you see this was already a live example of how you want to dissect your feeling. So you are validating it, but you're questioning yourself not to invalidate the feeling, but to answer yourself whether actually this feeling leads to any negative thoughts, right? Because we don't want it to become a negative uh, belief. Because if you yourself are angry, why let your positive or even your future that is unknown, it's not positive, it's not negative either, do not let this negative event become forever. All right, that will be how I'll summarize it.
Thanks, Leon. We have one more question from Arthadian. It's a raised hand, so I do not know. Arthadian, do you want to voice out your question and Leon can answer, or do you want to type it?
Anyway, in the meantime, I'd like to give a special thanks to shout out to Nick and also the chat is so wonderful. Everybody is so positive. So I'd like to really say like Wendy, sharing her knowledge that everyone has strength. Awesome, that is correct. Because example, if we are all here, all right, there is misfortune, of course. There's people who are born with no intellectual disability or not. But either way, they are not born with total the intellectual disability, right? So in a way, if we are all here and let's say we are all now struggling with something, which it will be the case, but the fact that we can all trying to figure out, if the fact that we are walking this journey of figuring out, it means there were strengths, whether we know it or not, that help us to come so far. So again, you see how everything can have a different perspective, narrative. So like the example of someone with intellectual disability, or you yourself are still figuring out or in a negative situation, but you have got yourself so far. All right, in my case, okay, I see the question now. So in my case, there was once this person who also keep challenging me when I was counseling him, saying that, oh, you see, I was a great feng shui master. All right, okay, can replace a feng shui master with any occupation, but that is the past. So I hate it now because I no longer am such a person. He is correct, right? But I challenged him with another fact. So he stated a fact. So how was I to validate him? So instead I said, but using the theory of everything has another perspective, everyone has strength. So I said that, but you have helped people, you have created positive help that is to people that are now out there living and breathing. Can you say that that is not true? Yeah. Okay. All right. So how can you cope with burnout? This one will not be related to today's workshop, but I do not mean to be dismissive. In fact, so this is where I would like to say resilience. Remember, so we explored resilience. Of course, so today I did not touch on stress management skill and all this. It's another workshop altogether. But to answer your question, right? So how to manage stress and burnout? Number one, to have self-care, to validate yourself. So you remember just now my example of saying that it is important to empathize with other people, so that
then we can all figure out what is that feeling and meshing into your thoughts and feelings that could be negative. Same must be done to yourself. So example, if you feel burnt out, right, that means you feel tiring. Tiring is a feeling as well. So ask yourself, okay, instead of letting this tiring feeling make you think that, okay, so it's like that, I have to accept it. It's just that I have to muscle through. Maybe you ask yourself, okay, and that's why one of the resources, anyway, you can look at the screen. All right, of course, today I did not have time to go into technical things. So you can look at my screen. Please Google this time management matrix. Yeah, so to the person asking this question, right, Google time management matrix. All right, then use this guide. List down all your activities, even the mind frame shift of, okay, so example, okay, just to go straight to the point, you need to create respite time. Everybody's respite is different. For example, someone may view documentary as respite. Someone may view, wow, watching documentary is like devoiding me of respite. All right, but if you yourself have consciously always give yourself what respite is called rewarding, enjoyable activities by purposeful, and then later you work backwards, then see what are occupying your time away from that. That at least raises your mindfulness. Okay, so I hope that by doing so, then you go and Google a stress management workshop. That will help your situation most of the time. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Leon. It's 6:31. Thank you all for joining. That is pretty much all the questions, or that is all the kind of time we have for now. Once again, thank you for joining. All the attendees right here. Have a good weekend. Be sure to actually join back. We do this every month again, and definitely we will keep you guys updated. If you have other questions, if you have other queries, heartburning queries as well, do feel free to email us, connect us on LinkedIn, and we shall see how things go. And yeah, without further ado, thank you once again, and have a great weekend. All right, feel free to leave the Zoom, or if you want to stay back and chit chat with Leon,
welcome everyone. Welcome Nick, Wendy, Afina, Nazira, Julian, Rosalind, Julian. Have a good weekend too. All right, everybody, feel free to ask me more questions on LinkedIn. Today I got to rush. My apologies. Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.